In a world of magic and mystery, one elf woman fights crime and the forces of evil in her own unconventional way. These are The Misadventures of Agnetha Deveaux. Episode 11, Agnetha Goes to Prison. Written by Royce Pentaghast. The story so far. The black elf woman Agnetha Deveaux has been in battle with a demon, a malignant spirit of a man once living, corrupted by the evil in his soul, who sought to wreak havoc in the world he left behind. Agnetha had acquired a spell that would destroy him once and for all, and its final component, the name by which the demon had been known when he was alive, David Wood Maloney. Unfortunately, Agnetha's unrelated criminal activities had caught up with her, and she found herself thrown into a subterranean prison within the city's sewers.
We keep you lot in here, away from the other prisoners, just in case you don't get along.
You lot, eh? And what's that mean then? Those without tooth decay? Bastard.
Well, well, do my elf eyes deceive me? Agnetha Deveaux.
Harry Dorian, how are you, me old macker?
I'm doing fine. 1 year into my 2-year sentence for robbery, thanks to you.
Hey, well, yeah, you did do the crime.
Oh, no, I'm thankful. After being on the run with a crazy gangster after my head, prison was the best protection I could have had.
Oh yeah, you'll be glad to know said gangster is behind bars thanks to me, so you're cool now. Damn, segregated cells, eh? I don't know. I guess I kind of thought there'd be more elven criminals.
Oh, there are. Just in a cell the tunnel over. I'm not so happy to share my space with those I do not know, so I cranked up the annoying tendencies and forced them into transferring. What do you know? Fully sell to myself.
You always were good at that.
So, what did you do to get locked up in here?
Ugh, it's a long story.
If there's any place for one of those, it's a prison cell. And we have one all to ourselves.
Oh, yay.
Across town, Agnetha's friends Turmell and Charlotte had come together to figure out a way to help Agnetha.
No, I'm sorry. She's unavailable at the moment, and I don't know when she'll be back. Now please, go. Look, bugger off, or I'll get the crossbow.
They took her to Stormwater. Not just a police lockup, an actual prison.
How come?
Well, dick-kicking a minister is a pretty serious offence. The only way she can get out of there is a government pardon, which I can't get her. But I have a plan how. I'm going to try and reach the Prime Minister.
You can just do that, can you? Won't the guards turn you away the second they see you?
They'll be looking out for a skinny guy in a red coat and long hair. Agnetha once pointed out to me, people tend to look at uniforms over faces. If I go in disguise, I might be able to walk straight in without them noticing me.
It's a bold idea. What do you have in mind?
Well, I've got this black suit, these glasses, and to save Agnetha, I'm going to have to make the ultimate sacrifice. Charlotte, I need you to cut my hair.
Wow! Desperate times do call for desperate measures.
At the Grantham mansion, Michelle Grantham stormed into the drawing room to find her mother, Liza, sat on a lounge in worried conversation with the butler, Croft.
Mum, what's been going on? Where's Dad?
Michelle, please come here. Croft, if you could please leave us.
Very well, my lady.
I'm not sitting until I find out what's going on. My maid runs off after punching Dad. He's now stormed off. The rest of the staff are talking behind my back.
Michelle, please. I have something to tell you. It's not going to be easy to hear, but your father, he isn't the man you think he is.
Now I've got this spell and his name, David Wood Maloney, an old dead politician. It's just a waiting game to bring it all together and hopefully take him out for good.
Demons, eh? Always causing trouble. So there is no way for you to summon this demon?
Nah, there ain't. It's all up to him to strike.
Deveaux, you've got a visitor.
The guard left as Lord Grantham stepped into view, his face one of smug superiority.
I've dreamt of this moment for a long time, I have to say. Seeing it for real is better than I could have imagined.
You did this, didn't you? You and your pal Maloney conspiring on something. To what? Overthrow the government, sow distrust and get me locked up?
What? What are you talking about?
David Wood Maloney. I saw his portrait on the wall in your study. I know you two were working together and I'm going to bring you down.
Dave Maloney died 5 years ago. I've absolutely no idea what you mean.
He's back as a ghost, isn't he? Manipulating things. The red fog, freeing a serial killer, turning majors into murderers. It's all part of your plan.
Have you started on the prison hooch already? Not that I should expect anything sane from you. I came here to ask what you stole from my house, and to give it back. Doing so might make me put a good word in with the guard to let you go early.
I didn't steal nothing, if that's what you're worried about. Not unless you count your daughter's art.
You what? You? Of all the women she could have chosen. I've had enough of this. I'm going for a scone.
Seems your theory of Lord Grantham being behind it wasn't true.
That, or he's a very good liar. There must be... Oh, I feel faint.
Are you okay?
I think it's the demon. He's pulling me to the spirit world. Catch me, Harry.
Well, you could have given me a bit more warning.
Agnetha opened her eyes to find herself once more in the spirit plane. The ground beneath her feet was soil, a castle ruin-strewn island floating in a nothingness tinged purple. From the clouds in the sky above appeared the figure of her enemy, the demon, arms spread wide in mock greeting.
Welcome back, Miss Deveaux. I have so been looking forward to this chance to talk. I hope I didn't pull you away from anything important. You'll find me at the end of the path, but before you do, I have some friends who've been wanting to meet you. Some old friends of yours, too, I believe.
Oh, great. Now I've got to fight a bunch of your mates before I get to kill you. Mauviette. Okay, got to summon myself a weapon using the energy here. How about a nice sword? Maybe two? Nah, how about a shield? Oh, perfect.
A flash of purple, and a hulking demonic being with bottle green skin and spiked black armor appeared before her, brandishing a jagged axe.
I am fool's turn. You struck me down once before, mortal. I shall not suffer that same indignity.
Her first opponent run through with her sword, Agnetha marched onwards into the ruins, determined to end the demon once and for all. His hair cut short for the first time in 11 years, Turmell entered the government building in his new disguise, clad in a black coat and horn-rimmed spectacles perched on the bridge of his nose. At a glance, he was unrecognizable, one of the countless other government workers whose feet pounded the granite floor of the halls day in, day out. He made sure to alter his gait, his head down as if studying the newspaper he grasped in his hand, while his eyes glanced over the glasses, keeping a lookout for the guards as he navigated his way up the maintenance stairs onto the 3rd floor. A little further up, and he'd be in the Prime Minister's quarters. He'd just have to avoid any guards that might be patrolling the area. It was shockingly easy to get as far as he had, using only a few simple tricks that Agnetha had taught him. But he was at least doing this for a good reason.
You there, let me see some ID.
Me? Why should I? What's wrong here?
Get lippy with me and I'll smack those glasses off your face, son.
Do you know who I am? I'm...
Turmell. Well, long time no see.
Prime Minister, you know him?
Of course I know him. Now, move on.
Yes, Prime Minister.
Where have they been hiding you, Turmell? I thought I'd be seeing a lot more of you than I have been. Have they been keeping you busy with all that paperwork?
Well, no. You see, Prime Minister, there's been something going on and I've come to tell you all about it.
Really? Well, step into my office. Let's see what I can do to help you.
As Turmell infiltrated Parliament, Agnetha had been cutting through demons. From ghostly wisps to armoured abominations, the latest was an antlered elephant, its forelegs spiked and mace-like, as it pounded the floor trying to knock her off balance. Her sword glanced off its armoured skin, but after its stomping knocked a torch loose from its sconce and spilled embers onto the floor, Agnetha saw it recoil in horror.
Oh, fear of fire, eh? Well, this just got easier. Ha!
Empowered by the magic that flowed from this plane of reality, she summoned flames far greater than she could normally, and blasted them up into the demon's mouth, burning it to a crisp from within. Onward she went, into the next chamber, where a figure stood before her, a blackened skeleton bound by muscle and skin of churning purple flame, black smoke making up his robes, his head adorned with horns. He summoned twin blades from thin air into his hands, pointing one towards her.
Agnetha Deveaux, Long have I awaited our meeting. For many years I have been watching you.
Well, good on ya.
She went to slash him, her go-to quick attack. Heavy damage delivered in a sharp blow, only for him to leap, dodge her swing, and kick her to the chest, sending her flying back and her ethereal weapons vanishing as she crashed to the ground.
Only by fighting me will you be able to pass. Otherwise you will find your death here, in this life and the next.
Ugh, right. Well, if it's a fight you want, it's a fight you'll get.
As Grantham returned home, he noticed the halls suspiciously empty of the usual staff bustling around this time of day. Entering the drawing room, he was greeted by the sight of his wife and daughter, both turning his way. Michelle's expression was angry, her eyes tearful. She stood and stormed towards him, brandishing a newspaper from a few weeks before, the front page reporting the massive leak that had led to his fall from grace.
You knew! You knew, and you never told me.
Who told you about this?
I did, Peter.
Look, I know what I did is indefensible, but in my defense, it wasn't really my idea.
No, Peter.
You have to realize, life and politics isn't simple. It's messy. It's never black and white. What might technically be paying thugs and committing hate crimes could actually be a part of a complicated process.
What?
Oh, don't tell me you didn't know that.
I was trying to explain to you that there were certain details we needed to explain more carefully.
Look, it sounds about out of context, but you...
Yes?
Your father was pressured by people in the party to commit a crime to further some agenda. This Agnetha lady thought your father was behind it, and she did rightfully, if somewhat forcefully.
It isn't my fault. I didn't care about any of this stuff when I joined, really. Peace and love, that was me. But the people, the party, they beat you down, shape you into something like them. It's horrible. I had no real choice.
You had a choice, Dad, and you chose poorly. Not only did you send Agnetha to prison, you've been funding and abetting the very people you claim to be against.
Michelle, where are you going?
I'm going to put this right.
Back in the spirit plane, Agnetha and the two-sworded savage demon still dueled their way through the ruined castle. Wisps and shades watched on as the two clashed swords.
You let your rage dictate your actions, but always hold back. Give in to your anger, let it control you, and you shall gain the powers you desire to strike those who wronged you.
Agnetha paused and stepped back, thinking over what this demon just said to her, before she realized it was antagonizing her, encouraging her to attack and striking back himself. Anger wasn't the way forward. She summoned her shield back and assumed a defensive stance. The two paced around the room, waiting for the other to strike, before his impatience got the better of him. He lunged forward, and with a spin and a slash, he sliced him in two. Continuing on to the next chamber, not even looking back as his two halves clattered to the floor. The next room was lined with purple curtains. A man in a matching suit sat before her, gesturing to a chair beside him. Cautiously, she sat.
Welcome, Miss Deveaux.
What is this place?
This is a place for the end.
Okay, look, I bet this is very interesting and all, but I don't have 18 hours or 25 years to resolve this, so if you let me go on my way, that'd be great.
This is the place of the end.
I hope so.
You go fool.
She stood and left the room through the opening in the curtains the man had gestured towards.
You made it through. I must admit, I am surprised you managed.
I'm full of surprises.
As am I.
With a wave of his hands, the floor dropped out from underneath her feet. She was quick, though, and leapt to the side, only to be knocked down by a column of stone extending from the wall.
I knew you'd do that. You're such a tool.
Insult me. Curse me all you want. Your words have no power. Why anyone thinks I should concern myself with the opinion of peasants like you,
I have no idea. People like you waste your life fighting unwinnable battles when all you have to do is submit.
Agnetha flailed as she was repeatedly thrown into the air and crashed back into the ground. It didn't hurt, really, but it was annoying.
You don't realize what a privilege it is to even be allowed to live within the human cities. Your kind, elves, dwarves, orcs, are all isolationists. They keep to themselves, prevent outsiders from entering their domains. Yet they have the audacity to cry foul of not being treated equally by us, to call us oppressors. You, Agnetha Deveaux, are emblematic of everything wrong with your kind. You treat this city like your own sandbox. You beat this country's leaders in broad daylight and cry racism when held accountable for your actions. We didn't need to exaggerate the stories of your kind's misdeeds, but rather give you the chance to take the liberties you did. And you played your part exceptionally.
Oh yeah, you gave elves a place, alright. The sewage-coated slums, real generous.
So ungrateful. You do not live in the slums, and when you have, you did so by choice, to escape responsibility. You are a majority owner in a prolific local business, a tavern owned by loyal countrymen and women for 3 generations, and you use it as a front for your criminal activities. Life sure does treat you unfairly.
So people should just be thankful for what they got here? Never ask for any more? Is that how you ran your government?
I did what I had to do to govern our people, not some foreign oath.
Ha! Ha ha! Oh dear. Said a bit too much, did ya?
The demon stared her down, raised his hands, and threw her into the air. When she came down, he hovered above her, a sword in hand, then swept forward with blindingly fast cuts. She struggled to block him, running backwards and tripping over herself, before shooting a jet of flame his way. He dodged and turned into water, slashing her down with waves, washing her out of the chamber and into the purple void, where she fell into darkness. She reappeared back in the chamber as the roof collapsed onto her, the demon clambering over rocks, surveying the damage caused. Fire shot out from the rubble as her hands burst out and grabbed his ankles and hurled him into the wall.
Impressive. You're finally realizing the potential of this place. Let me show you something new.
The rubble cleared away as he waved his hands, and a scene appeared before them. Back in the cell, Agnetha saw herself collapsed on the ground, unconscious and writhing. Harry Dorian bent over, trying to wake her. Before that, a second image, a grand office, Turmell dressed in black with short hair, speaking before the Prime Minister.
I love what your friend has done with his hair. These are windows to the world we have left behind. Normally the barriers between the two are locked off, but one of strong will can reach through to the other side. Just like this.
He reached into the 2 images, into the chests of Harry and Turmell, the 2 both reacting as something was touching them. Agnetha realized that's because something was. Turmell began choking, the demon squeezing his windpipe, and Harry fell back, clutching his chest, the demon crushing his heart.
Give up, or your friends die. Ah!
Agnetha leapt forward and sliced off both the demon's arms. Turmell and Harry recovered as their images disappeared. The demon's arms reformed as he turned to face her, smiling.
You can try to stop me all you want, but I keep coming back.
Nah, you won't. I can keep cutting you down, but neither of us can really harm each other here, on a physical level. You said words won't hurt you. Well, that's wrong. It just needs to be the right words. And I just so happen to have them.
Is that so?
Agnetha readied herself, her hands raised, and began reciting the incantation.
Daraskai Mo Darel, I name thee spirit, David Wood Maloney.
So, you know my name. Was that spell supposed to do something?
Either way, I'm impressed at your conviction. Or is it arrogance?
No, I felt it. the magic within me as it began, but something went wrong. Oh, I am thick. Lord, I am thick. And not just in the way it counts. I was so focused on trying to figure out who you were, I didn't pay attention to the specifics of the spell. Incantation, then the name by which you were known. David Wood Maloney. That wasn't the name you were known by. It's too long, too formal. Of course you shortened it to a form by which people knew you. And now, all I have to do is say your name, because the spell's still active. I've got to ask you one question. All right, Dave?
The demon, Dave, his eyes widened, and with a pop, vanished from existence. Agnetha looked around, but sure enough, he was gone. The evil was dead. She began to feel woozy, closing her eyes, and when she opened them, she found herself back on the floor of the cell, Harry Dorian leaning over her.
How's your heart?
Do you know what that was?
It was him, the demon, but he's gone now.
For real?
Completely gone.
Well, I have to say on my end it was rather anticlimactic. What now?
We wait.
Yeah?
Yeah. I have a feeling freedom's coming very soon.
Back in Parliament House, Turmell was helped to his feet by Anderson.
Oh, are you feeling better now?
I am. That was strange. But as I was saying, these charges against Agnetha, my friend, they've been exaggerated and falsified. They even tried to say Agnetha murdered Peter Dominics.
Murdered him? I only saw him this last hour.
Really?
Yes, I caught him at the train station. Seemed to be fleeing west.
Are you sure?
I think I would recognise the man trying to create a leadership spill against me, so unless she got him sometime in the last, half an hour, Dominic's still alive and well.
Prime Minister, what are you doing here, Robertson? I'm sorry, Prime Minister. I'll see to this guy immediately.
I don't think so, Michael. Mr. Robertson was about to leave. Turmell, take this. That should help your friend. You and I need to have a serious talk about the kind of workplace practices you seem to be employing, Michael.
Back in the prison cell, Agnetha described what happened, when a short while later they heard the sound of the guard approaching, Turmell in tow.
You have another visitor.
Oi, oi, you finally been arrested for that ponytail?
Good to see you're in high spirits.
I was, literally. Trip to the spirit plane. Demon Dave is dead.
So the spell worked. Wow, that's a relief.
It did. Merelda came through, as did Harry here, helping me as I was passed out.
Aha, I remember you. Harry Dorian. Turmoil, is it not?
Turmell, that's me. I bring good news. You're free to go. I managed to get in to see the PM, and I've been reinstated.
Oh, brilliant. Stuck it to the man, eh?
Well, thanks to that evidence you gathered exposing Drake, Front, Grantham and the rest, an inquiry is being launched and they're being dismissed from office pending an investigation. But yes, you'll be out of here soon. I've just got to go sign the release forms and the pardon. Thought I'd pop by and let you know first.
How about Harry here too? I think he's served his time.
Oh, sure. Why don't we free all the criminals? Got a bunch of violent offenders next row over. I'll fetch the paperwork.
Well, you're a cheery one. Yes, I can get one for Harry too.
I knew you were a good man the moment I saw you. Ha!
By the way, when you get out, there's someone waiting for you.
Oh, yeah?
Half an hour later, Agnetha and Harry were freed, outside and above ground, in the afternoon sunlight.
Well, free man, what will you do?
I think I will buy myself a dinner. Or better yet, dine and dash. If you could point me to the snootiest restaurant in town.
Head to the waterfront and take your pick. Just be careful not to get caught, eh?
Then you better not chase me. That's how we got here in the first place.
Very true.
Anyway, I'll see you around and leave you to talk to your friend. Take care.
I understand you're to thank for my freedom.
I only put in a good word. Your friend Turmell did most of the heavy lifting. I couldn't stand the thought of my best maid being locked up.
Just so you know, I'm not really a maid, Rad. I was undercover.
I know. A detective? I'm impressed.
I didn't think you'd want to see me again after all that sneaking, breaking and entering and beating up your dad. You've not come to beat me up, have you?
No. If not for you, I never would have found out about all his dirty deals and corruption. I came by because I thought we were starting something back there. I was wondering if you were wanting to continue?
I'd love to, if you were.
Of course.
Wicked. Maybe we can find someplace in this sandbox that gives good drinks. Maybe that Vestment Silver Tavern.
The Misadventures of Agnetha Deveaux, starring
Liz Corrick as Agnetha.
Jack T. Hodgetts as Harry Dorian.
Jennifer Fink as Lady Michelle.
Royce Pentaghast as Turmell.
Rachael Leigh as Liza.
Melanie Christodoulou as Prime Minister Anderson.
Glen Pryor as Michael Front. Stewart Fulton as Grantham.
and Michael Mengarda as the narrator. Theme music composed by Matt Harris. Additional music by Kevin MacLeod of Incompetech.com. Produced by City Park Radio 2022. Next time on The Misadventures of Agnetha Deveaux.
You know what? I went all that time and forgot to ask the really important questions about that demon. He's gone for good, banished from the beyond, but I never figured out after all this time what his motives were. What do you know about him?
He was my dad's friend and mentor. You'd have to ask him.
Now that does sound like an amusing setup for conflict.